Man, what in the fuck is going on in Jackson County? Okay. So Jackson County, Kentucky's got the fucking famous sheriff who Fox News and everybody was covering. Excuse me. Samuel Adams. Okay, so Jackson County Sheriff Denny Peyman is the famous sheriff. Okay, so Denny Peyman is the guy who stood up to Obama during the whole gun debate, and he was held up as a paragon, as a fucking genius, and essentially he was just talking about Gatewood Galbraith's interpretation of the sheriff's power and libertarians and I think the Kentucky Constitution too, and so, and could even be like natural law or something too. So the local sheriff has jurisdiction over the county or the the area and the city, and so any feds or any state person that would come into the local area of the sheriff has to get the sheriff's permission to do their operations. Okay, so the sheriff is the man. It all comes down to him, and it comes down to him because he's the enforcer. He's the one that has the power of arrest. Okay, so Denny Peyman was standing up to Obamacare, talking about the gun regulations, saying guns are free, everybody can have a guns. Guns are us. Guns, guns, guns. And he said that if Obama did pass any type of regulations against guns, against the Second Amendment, he wouldn't enforce it because it's against the Constitution, so therefore he wasn't going to do anything about it. Got huge national attention, and in a way he won the gun debate, right? Because Obama didn't get his shit passed, and so the NRA, the gun lobby, it showed that Obama's got some balls, right, to stand up to the gun lobby like that. Just like, it's almost like political suicide, but it also kind of shows, like, in a way, like he don't give a fuck, and so that was badass. But he lost, and he didn't. There was no substantial changes that happened after Newtown. So Denny Peyman, he was just like a citizen sheriff, right? But got all this national attention, and there was a backlash to him getting all that attention. The judge executive had cut his funds, and so he says he was just operating with just his black Mustang. That's all he had, was just a black Mustang. So he has gets all this national attention, says fuck what Obama says about the guns. The Second Amendment is clear, and actually Kentucky's Constitution is clear too. You're allowed to have a gun, but it has to be open carry. Okay, so it has to be posted on your outside person. Probably not a good idea to have it in your hands. That would look like it might be threatening. So it'd have to be holstered, put on your back or something. So it has to be, you can't conceal it. You're not allowed to hide it. Okay, so that's Kentucky's Constitution. And so he says it's clear, you're allowed to have guns, it's for everybody. I'm not going to enforce any unconstitutional law. And I think fundamentally he's right about that. Just castle law. No, not, or common law. Castle law. So common law, just general idea of what I believe law to be. And so I think when it comes down to who controls the fucking county, who does it come down to? The federal government, state government, local. It's the sheriff. It's the fucking sheriff. And the executive branch, I think the executive branch is actually, the executive branch does, I think, has more authority than the sheriff. Okay? But what's happening in Jackson County is fascinating. Okay? So he gets all the publicity for standing up to Obama's unconstitutional laws, and then he's stripped of all his funds. Okay, so they leave him with no money. They basically just try to drown him out. Say, this isn't what we all believe, and then they stuck him with a deficit of like $100,000. And so I'm skipping over a lot of stuff. I'm gonna actually just probably end up reading all of this anyways. But what happened? Okay, so there's a triumvirate when it comes to the county structure, the county power structure of Kentucky. There's a triumvirate: the county attorney, the sheriff, and the judge executive. The judge executive is not a judge, not a judiciary judge, but an executive judge. Okay, so he gets to be called judge while saying do this, do that. I don't know where that comes from, but the judge executive is the president, governor of the county. He's the one that signs the legislation and the law. He's the one that makes sure that the law is enforced. Now, the powers of arrest comes down to 4 people: coroner, jailers, constables, sheriff. And so those 4 have the power of arrest constitutionally. Now the executive, I think the executive has the power of arrest too. I think it's a Supreme Court battle for Kentucky. I think this is something to figure out, because between that triumvirate, who does have the final authority? Who does have the final say-so? The county attorney is the one who interprets all this. So can't he just say, hey, you know, you stand in between, like if the sheriff and judge executive wants to fight? Couldn't the fucking county attorney stand in between the two and say, hey boys, can we get along? You know, like that almost sounds like that would be his fucking, you know, perspective on it. So either the county attorney had already talked to Denny Peyman about this and agreed on it, or he eventually, you know, his interpretation of the Constitution and of America and Kentucky is the exact same as Denny Peyman. So Denny Peyman, after he got cut of all of his finances, goes to fiscal court meeting and arrests the county judge, okay? So Jackson County Sheriff Denny Peyman says he's found evidence of wrongdoing going back decades. But on Tuesday, Judge Executive William O. Smith and Treasurer Beth Sally were arrested in what Payman calls just the tip of the iceberg, okay? And one guy says, I think Jackson County is now a free county. We've been under a dictatorship for several years now, says Geraldo Serrano, who referred to himself as a concerned citizen who's already attended several county government meetings in recent months. So they're accusing this judge executive of being pushy, of being a bully, and saying, you know, get out of my court and all this other shit. And so now he's talking about a dictatorship, and that is true. He got rid of the dictatorship. But what it brings up is that triumvirate. It brings up that sharing of power between the 3, the county attorney, the sheriff, and the judge executive. Okay, so what it appears now, I have no idea what's going on. I want to get to the exact moment because of how... Okay. Yeah, no, so I haven't... Okay, so no, I'll just go with what I understand. Okay, so the yeah, okay, so okay. I don't have the exact article of the exact wording of how where I came to it, but the exact thing that happens is you got all 3 of those guys, the county attorney, the sheriff, and the judge executive at the fiscal court meeting, and they're trying to run the fiscal court meeting as normal, but the sheriff gets up and says, I'm going to arrest you, and the judge executive looks at the county attorney, which I told you, the county attorney protects the fucking county judge and all of his peoples and shit. So since he's constitutionally mandated to sit on fiscal court meetings, and since he's mandated, he's like the fucking main lawyer, you know. Anything that the judge executive thinks he can do comes from the county attorney. The sheriff probably reveres the fucking county attorney at the same time, so they both looked at him for the advice, you know, for the basically the county advice with the prosecutors, how the thing's going to go down, how the hammer's going to go down, comes out of the county attorney's philosophy. So that's what happened. That's what happened. He turned and he looked at the county attorney, the judge executive, and he says, do I have to go? And he says, yes, you have to go. So the county attorney was the deciding factor, and so he fucking arrested him. Denny Peyman arrested Judge Executive William O. Smith. So he takes him out, arrests him, puts him in court. I see him in jumpsuits. They say people have not been able to go to a fiscal court meeting without being bullied, thrown out of a meeting, said Payman. Payman says arrest following audit of the year following June 30, 2011, and he says it deals with unaccounted for money. So he's saying that he's not the one that's been taking the money. It's been the fucking fiscal court. What appears, what is coming back now is the rich getting richer, poor getting poor. He's a people's man, people's champion. You know, I have no idea what's going on. Smith says he was let out of the judicial center in handcuffs. He's like, I don't know what's going on. What the fuck? I'm getting arrested. I'm the fucking judge executive here. Neither Smith nor Sally had any comment. Both were loaded into Payman's black Mustang. he puts the judge executive and his assistant into his own Mustang, which I don't know, is that a 1-seater? Is that a 2-seater? I mean, is there like a back seat to the Mustang? He says the only vehicle the fiscal court has allocated for him to drive. So he's only allowed to drive his own person. So there he is no vehicle, or maybe it's a fucking county Mustang. They came in, they stripped my budget, took everything away from me, left me with my Mustang. Couldn't take that because it is a forfeiture. Payman, Denny Peyman said of the car missing a bumper and part of its fender and had no clear signs that it's a police cruiser. The arrest of the officials did not sit well with some. Some didn't like the fact that news media was there to cover it. So Payman had called the news media to be there. If this gets on the news, you're hurting. Get out of here, said one man to the reporters. Others welcomed the arrest with open arms. I think Jackson County is now a free county. We've been under a dictatorship for several years now, said Geraldo Serrano, who referred to himself as a concerned citizen who's attended several county government meetings in recent months. Both Smith and Sally face abuse of public trust, engaging in organized crime, including extortion or coercion, tampering with public records, forgery in the second degree, falsifying business records, and criminal facilitation. That's what they always do. That's what prosecutors always do. So that's Judge Executive William O. Smith. He's not running for office. This is an election year. Yeah, all these fucking positions are up all across Kentucky. So, you know, this is an indication of how this year is going to be. The year that we got rid of Mitch McConnell. You know, the year we got rid of Mitch McConnell. Fucking Peyton. Denny. Shit. Denny Peyman. Payman. Denny's, like fucking Denny's, right? So eating at Denny's, hey, pay me, man, or I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna have to eat at Denny's. I need to eat at Denny's, so fucking pay me. So Denny Peyman is a fucking sheriff of Jackson County, and he arrested the judge executive for the abuse of public trust, engaged in organized crime, including extortion or coercion, tampering with public records, forgery in the second degree, falsifying business records, and criminal facilitation. So those are the charges. What ends up happening is charges have been dropped against them. Judge Executive William Smith and Treasurer Beth Sally were arrested during a fiscal court meeting in January by the Jackson County Sheriff. They were accused of tampering and falsifying records, forgery, and abuse of public trust. They appeared in a Jackson County courtroom on Thursday morning, and this is posted February 6th. So this just happened today? This just happened yesterday, okay? So this all just, they went to fucking court. I don't know if they got released on their own recognizance, or if they had to pay like a fucking $2,000 bail. The judge executive, right? He's in jumpsuits and they're not happy. They're like, one's confused and she's clearly like just pissed. She is so mad. They appeared in a Jackson County courtroom on Thursday morning, but the charges against them were dropped. The prosecutor dismissed the case. So the prosecutor, who the fuck is the prosecutor? What's this motherfucker's name, okay? Saying there's no evidence. But the prosecutor and the sheriff talked. So what happened? He says it was just a tip of the iceberg. How the tip of the iceberg become nothing. And then later on, I think he says like the more is coming. Or that he lost the battle, but the war is still going. At the time of the arrest, Jackson County Sheriff Denny Peyman said he found evidence of wrongdoing going back decades. Peyman said the arrest stemmed from unaccounted for money in the audit of the year ending June 30th, 2011. So he looked into it. You know, they want to sit there and say he siphoned money. You know, he siphoned money off from the fucking county. He's like, nah, I didn't fucking siphon money. You fucking siphoned money. So this is in McKee, Jackson County, named after Andrew Jackson, right? Fucking genocidal maniac. Incredible. This is incredible. Denny Peyman is my fucking hero, okay? Denny Peyman for fucking governor. Denny Peyman for fucking president. Okay, so Jackson County Sheriff Denny, they need to fucking get, you know, be more nicer to their gay folks in Jackson County. So that let Jackson County, everybody in Jackson County know this. Okay? Be nicer to your fucking gay people, you fucking pricks. So, Denny Peyman arrested William Smith during a fiscal count. He whisked them in a fiscal court meeting Tuesday on charges of forgery. It was the latest development in their rancorous relationship, in which Smith in the fiscal court earlier took control of finances at the sheriff's office and set up a separate county police force. Oh my God. Damn. I mean, I don't hate Denny Peyman for doing this. People might say it's political or he was pushed to the brink of it. Good. Fuck him. I mean, like, seriously, they totally, like, you know, they say he fucking took funds. They cut off his fucking budget, give him nothing. He's still the fucking sheriff. They can't take that away from him. They can shame him. They can try to push every, you know, use the fucking power to purse and do whatever the fuck, you know, the type of intimidation shit that they could try. But if they cross the line, if they commit a crime, then the sheriff is allowed to arrest them. He's the head dog. He's the main man. I don't know. I think the county executive could have. If I was county executive, I wouldn't let my fucking sheriff arrest me. No way. I would citizens arrest him first for, you know, assaulting me or something. But